This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon, and today we're going to go a little bit further into this idea of how to get what you want, which is interesting. I think there's a certain level of, in order to get what you want, you need to know what you also don't want. It gives you a significantly greater scope of what you're moving towards and, of course, what you're moving away from. Often, people have a tendency to sit on one side of that, and excuse me, and it's usually from the angle of what they're moving away from. They're moving away from pain. And so with this ability to have this sort of laser precision towards what's most and deepest important to us, it allows us to really learn to move toward what's most important based on our deepest purpose. Now, what's just interesting in doing this is that a lot of the time people may come up in conflict with going, well, this is what I want, and these are the issues, these are the challenges, this is where I self-sabotage, and it's all this sort of stuff that may be somewhat true, but in reality, it's not until we actually recognize and realize what we want, and there's a Rumi quote I'm pretty sure, which is what you seek is also seeking you. And the truth of that is that the development that we want, we already have. It's already that every human being has that level of development within them, within their reach, within their scope maybe. However, we have to unpack the bullshit in the way. It's not that somebody doesn't have the ability to unravel to something and unpack something, and that's why it's unbecoming what we're not in order to show the world who we truly are. It's because who we truly are is already there, but it's working, and it is work. It's working on the bullshit that's in the way to allow ourselves to be able to trust ourselves to lean into reality as it is right now, rather than grabbing the past, projecting it into the moment, and trying to deal with the current reality from a younger self. And I'm thinking as I'm talking here, and talking as I'm thinking rather, and it's quite interesting to continually see as every person, in this case for me, as I'm thinking, it is developing and unpacking stuff and unraveling stuff, that there is often a voice, a chatter that may arise, and it could be a critical voice, it could be a voice that speaks in fear of what could happen. It could be a person that's just naive, a voice that's just naive, and so forth. And really, truly becoming aware of that is really important, because when we become aware of that chatter, of that voice, we can realize that are we the awareness or are we the voice? And we can start to separate away from the voice and the chatter that's actually not us. And this is why it's important to unbecome who you're not, because you're not the voice and the chatter. You're the awareness of that. But even more importantly is the awareness of that. Now, the awareness only listens. It doesn't speak. And this is really quite fascinating, because when we have the awareness of the chatter, we can have a conversation with it. When we have we also give it something to talk to, right? We give it power. But when we have awareness of the awareness, then we're simply just observing in reality in its true form, without any prerequisite or pre-existing judgment of how we think it's meant to unfold and how we think it's meant to happen, and so forth. And I think this is something that I offer you to look at today, no matter what time of day you're listening to this, to sort of look at the conversations you're having with people and see how often you're actually trying to build the conversation before, either before you have it, or when you're trying to build the conversation as you're having it, you already got your answer. And this is a really good indication of just not listening, right? You're not listening to the person because you can't think of an answer and listen at the same time. Yes, I can. Of course I can. It's like, yeah, there's the voice again. You're doing it again, right? And it's really interesting because to truly listen, what we allow ourselves to do is to take in everything that the person is saying, right? And people that say what they're not saying, it's like, yeah, I think there's an element of that, but when we're talking verbal, they're still saying something. Their body is still talking. It's still communicating. And so when we're able to truly be there for them in that conversation, then we can actually show them us rather than a pre-framed example of us. And it also gives this indication of us not trusting ourselves if we're having to pre-frame a conversation before we have it, or if we're, it's, of course people go, but it comes from a good place. It's like, yeah, that's neither here nor there. Like, you probably wouldn't do it if it wasn't for a good intention. Even telling someone to fuck off is coming from a good place, because it's probably trying to find your own peace of mind. Like, this is the whole idea of that every behavior has a positive intention, right? Maybe you don't have to understand it if it's not yours, but there's a positive intention behind negative self-talk. There's a positive intention behind, being extremely optimistic, being naive, having phobias. There's all sorts of bits and pieces behind all of it. And so it's not someone else's fucking job to unpack that for us. This is the thing, is that people go, I'm broken and I need someone to fix me. It's like, no one can fix you. One, you're not broken, but two, no one can do the work for you. If you truly want to develop, and I mean really develop, like learning how other people communicate is not necessarily self-development, because where is the development of you in that? Especially if you're just using it for sales or some shit. Where is the development in you? You're simply learning how to persuade, right? You're not even developing them half the time if this is the case. It's all a facade. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it whatsoever at all. What it's in the face of, though, is going, are you practicing skills so that you don't have to show up in the world as you? Because true self-development allows you to get rid of the bullshit that's in the way of you so you can show up as you. Sit on that for a little while. But I guess the biggest message here amongst all of this is understanding that what you truly want access to, really, you personally, and I'm talking like, you're driving and you're thinking, you got shit on you, what are the kids doing, and all that kind of stuff. Like separate that. Like, don't go to the toilet and don't take your phone, right? That version, that person, right? When you're in the shower, like that person, what that person wants, it already wants the same thing. This is important to understand, that it's just learning to get access to this thing. But we get access to it by unbecoming, by removing the bullshit. That's where the magic is. Team, that's it. I'm done. Thank you very much for listening to my ramblings this morning, this evening, today, whenever it is that you're listening to this. Now, as always, if you found this beneficial, it would mean the world to me, and hopefully to someone else, if you would share it with them, and share the message with them if you think that this would land with them. And as always, if you're a PT trainer or a coach, then you should definitely check out the Coaches Circle, and I'd love to have a chat with you and see if that's the right fit for you and your development. Otherwise, check out Mood Prep Online. Just jump on Facebook and search Mood Prep Online, and then I'll be like, hey, yeah, you can jump on, no worries. And that's it. That's all. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Until tomorrow, peace and pizza. Kick today in the dick. Slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.
To be everything at once, be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.